I'm Stephen Wilson with ABC News. Today, our breaking story involves a scandal surrounding BizCorp Enterprises and the alleged unethical compensation practices that have been tied to the CEO. Let's now go live with Tom on the scene with the press conference.
Thanks for that, Stephen. We're live at the BizCorp Enterprise press conference where the CEO, Brett Serrano, is about to speak to the public. Let's tune in.
So I'm here to shed a little light on the alleged scandal myself and my company are currently facing, and dispel the myths surrounding it. We at BizCorp view corporate governance in the highest respect. We pride ourselves in our transparency and strong corporate culture that we have instilled in our inward foundations. Neither I nor my board members would ever agree to sign a compensation plan that we feel is excessive, or most of all, insulting to our employees. My base salary starts at $100,000. This is less than most of our lower level execs within the company. The rest of my salary is completely performance based, and the board and I feel that my compensation is completely justified by our profits. Our third quarter net income was up 5% from the last, and overall, since I've taken over as CEO, BizCorp has seen a 12% increase in profit paired with a 20% stock increase. We're really taking BizCorp to the next level here, and the profits are clearly reflecting. I'm now open to questions.
Due to the new transparency laws, we saw your pay ratio has increased from 150 to 1 to over 1,000 to 1 practically overnight. How do you justify this?
That's a great question. Thanks for asking. Now, first, may I explain that a pay ratio poorly reflects an accurate representation of a CEO. If you look at my salary in line with that of the top 1%, I'm directly in line with that of my colleagues. Obviously, the average ratio is no longer 50 to 1 like it was 20 years ago. But with the boom of the economy, we saw a need for new high-performance benchmarks. And with these benchmarks come the new and necessary challenges that a CEO must face. To take a struggling domestic company and turn it into a global force is not an everyman job. 5 years ago, I accepted a very humble compensation package by the board of directors when I entered into BizCorp. Within those 5 years, I let my actions do the talking, and I stood firm to the board that I did not want a pay increase. Now, I think I have proven that with my strategies, I have found company success. When they did, and BizCorp did become successful, I believe I finally took the adequate compensation that I deserved. The substantial increase in my pay ratio was from years of difficult work at an inadequate salary. The increase brought me equal to a top CEO in my sector, which is exactly what I am. Thank you. Yep.
All right, you talk about inadequate salary. John Doe makes a fixed salary at SalaryCorp, merely making $5 million annually, despite 3 consistent profitable years in a row. What do you think about this?
Sure, yeah. John Doe is a great CEO, but still a young guy in the industry. Being a global industry, the bar is set much higher for BizCorp. I manage several multinational hubs across the world, and that's a much different task than one domestic hub in New York City. This is not to take credit away from John Doe, but the difficulty of managing a multinational enterprise is very challenging in comparison. With the globalization comes the decisions, and those decisions are higher stakes and they should be rewarded as such. That being said, if I were making comparisons here, BizCorp also saw similar profits to VF corporations, where Mr. Randall, if I'm not mistaken, has a pay ratio of 1,400 to 1. Now, I'm not picking fights here, but the pay ratio is often misleading and does not reflect the whole matter. Yep, over there.
You recently made a risky deal with one of your competitors, which faced a lot of criticism from Wall Street, obviously. It paid off, but do you feel your compensation package is incentivizing these risky short-term strategies?
Sure, yeah. Let me be absolutely clear. My compensation package does not include any short-term bonus incentives for myself. I made that deal in the long-term interest of my company and my shareholders. For complete transparency here, my compensation package is performance-based, as I stated earlier, as my income will increase when the profits do. This was set by my board of directors, who reevaluate all goals and perks of every executive's plan annually. So of course, from a financial standpoint, taking unnecessary risks and unnecessary risky strategies would make no sense for any sort of financial gain for myself. When my company does well, so do my employees and I. We all have a stake in the company stock. Me and my employees, we all have portions of our stock in our portfolios and our 401ks. We all want to do well with those. We all profit from deals like the one you've stated, and I take these profits and I reinvest them back into my company. We improve our wellness programs and things like that, because I understand the value that my workers create for my company. Any sort of strategy that might undermine that foundation there would be absurd and absolutely shameful. Next question. Yeah, over there.
There have been talks on Wall Street on a fixed salary for executives. How do you feel about this?
Of course, yep. From an outside perspective, fixed salaries seem like a great idea. But what fixed salaries lack is that extra incentive that is crucial for a company's success. Obviously, a CEO is a human being. We want our company to be successful, but we also want that as well for ourselves. Achieving goals and reaching milestones should be a rewarding experience. This embodies the capitalistic spirit our forefathers have founded this great country with. You take away that incentive, you take away the drive and the passion for success that a CEO needs. Without this, many CEOs would not take such a demanding and challenging job. We should not simply look at the figure an executive makes, but rather the value that they can create for their shareholders. When CEOs focus on creating the value and compensation follows, then everybody wins. No more questions. I just want to end in a brief summary here. My compensation is less than 2% of the net income of the company. This is a very insignificant amount compared to the value and equity that I brought into the company. We've expanded globally and with great success. We were able to lean out areas that were hurting the bottom line and use those new dollars to better compensate our employees. We are creating incredible new equity for our shareholders. And as CEO, it is my duty to oversee the overall interests of the shareholders, and that is exactly what I'm doing. At the end of the day, it's all about the long-term success for our organization. My compensation gives me a reason to sleep every other night in my office, to miss my baby boy's birthday, to not see my family for 3 months and 21 days at a time. Being CEO is one of the most challenging but rewarding jobs out there, and I believe the compensation should follow. Thank you, that is all.
Well, there you have it. Brett Serrano, the CEO of BizCorp, speaking to the public on his scandal. I'm Tom Mulvaney, ABC News.